The United States, in the early decades of the 19th century, was a young nation. Its population was growing, its territory expanding, and its economy developing. Yet beneath the surface of prosperity, deep divisions were forming, divisions that would eventually tear the nation apart. The issue of slavery was central. In the South, an economy built on cotton and tobacco relied heavily on the labor of enslaved African Americans. The North, increasingly industrialized, was moving toward wage labor, and in many states, the gradual abolition of slavery. Political tensions grew as new states were added to the Union. The Missouri Compromise of 1820 attempted to maintain a balance between slave and free states, but it was only a temporary solution. Debates over tariffs, states' rights, and westward expansion fueled resentment on both sides. Throughout the 1830s and 1840s, abolitionist movements gained strength in the North. Pamphlets, speeches, and newspapers spread the message that slavery was morally wrong and incompatible with the nation's ideals of liberty. Southern leaders, in response, argued that slavery was essential to their economy and way of life. The annexation of Texas in 1845, the Mexican-American War, and the Gold Rush all heightened tensions. Each new territory added was another question. Would it permit slavery or not? The Compromise of 1850 attempted to resolve these disputes, introducing measures like the Fugitive Slave Act, which inflamed Northern opposition. By the late 1850s, the nation was deeply polarized. The Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854 allowed settlers to decide on slavery themselves, leading to violent clashes in what became known as Bleeding Kansas. The Dred Scott decision of 1857 further inflamed tensions by ruling that African Americans could not be citizens and that Congress had no authority to ban slavery in the territories. Amidst this turmoil, Abraham Lincoln emerged as a national figure. Though not yet president, his speeches against the expansion of slavery resonated with many in the North, while alarming Southern leaders. By 1860, the nation stood on the brink of war. Economic, social, and political divisions had reached a breaking point. The election of Lincoln, a candidate opposed to the spread of slavery, would become the final catalyst for the secession of Southern states and the onset of the American Civil War.
On April 12, 1861, the peace that had long eluded the United States finally shattered. Confederate forces fired upon Fort Sumter in Charleston Harbor, South Carolina. This small garrison of Union soldiers, isolated and underprepared, faced the opening salvo of a conflict that would engulf the nation for the next 4 years. The bombardment lasted for 34 hours. When the Union flag was lowered, it marked the symbolic beginning of the American Civil War. No soldiers died during the attack, but the nation's collective heart skipped a beat. News of the assault traveled rapidly across the states, igniting a storm of emotions: fear, anger, patriotism, and uncertainty. Within days, President Abraham Lincoln called for 75,000 volunteers to suppress the rebellion. Southern states interpreted this as an act of aggression. 7 states, South Carolina, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas had already seceded by the time Lincoln took action. 4 more, Virginia, Arkansas, Tennessee, and North Carolina, would follow soon after. In the North, citizens rushed to enlist. Patriotic fervor swept through cities and towns. Young men, inspired by the defense of the Union, left their families to join the fight. Meanwhile, in the South, local militias and volunteer units mobilized to defend their new Confederacy. The first major battles soon followed. Though relatively small in scale compared to the horrors to come, these early encounters tested leadership, strategy, and courage. Union forces scrambled to organize, while Confederate armies sought to capitalize on their knowledge of the terrain and local support. Fort Sumter set the stage for a war that would claim hundreds of thousands of lives, reshape the nation's identity, and challenge every citizen's conception of freedom, loyalty, and justice. The guns had fired, and there was no turning back.
The first major clash of the Civil War came at Bull Run in July 1861 near Manassas, Virginia. Thousands of inexperienced soldiers faced each other on the fields, both eager to prove their valor. What began as a skirmish quickly escalated into a chaotic and bloody confrontation. Union forces initially advanced, confident in their numbers and training. However, Confederate troops, bolstered by reinforcements, pushed back with surprising ferocity. Civilians, curious to witness the spectacle, watched from nearby hills, only to flee in panic as the battle turned into a rout. The Union Army retreated in disorder, learning the harsh reality that this war would not be won easily. In September 1862, the Battle of Antietam in Maryland marked another pivotal moment. It became the single bloodiest day in American military history, with more than 22,000 soldiers killed, wounded, or missing. General George McClellan's Union Army clashed with General Robert E. Lee's Confederate forces in a brutal contest of strategy and endurance. Though tactically inconclusive, the battle provided President Lincoln the opportunity to issue the Emancipation Proclamation, shifting the war's focus to the moral imperative of ending slavery. Other battles shaped the early years of the conflict. Shiloh, in April 1862 in Tennessee, tested Union command and revealed the ferocity of Western theater combat. 7 Days battles in June, July 1862 demonstrated Lee's tactical brilliance in defending Richmond. Fredericksburg in December 1862 and Chancellorsville in May 1863 highlighted the deadly cost of frontal assaults and the ingenuity of Confederate leadership. Each encounter not only took a heavy toll on soldiers' lives, but also impacted civilian populations. Towns were occupied, farms destroyed, and families forced to confront the war's horrors firsthand. Soldiers learned to endure hunger, disease, and harsh weather, while communities struggled to provide aid and maintain morale. By mid-1863, the Civil War had evolved from a series of isolated battles to a national crisis. The Union and Confederacy were locked in a deadly stalemate, each side learning from its victories and defeats. The stage was set for the next defining moment of the conflict, the Battle of Gettysburg, which would alter the course of history. July 1863 marked a decisive moment in the American Civil War. The Battle of Gettysburg in Pennsylvania became a turning point that would shape the destiny of the nation. Over 3 grueling days, Union and Confederate armies clashed on fields and ridges, enduring relentless artillery fire, musket volleys, and charges that would be remembered for generations. General Robert E. Lee, confident from previous victories, sought to carry the war into Northern territory, hoping to break Union morale and sway European powers to recognize the Confederacy. Union forces, commanded by General George Meade, held firm despite immense pressure. On July 3rd, Pickett's charge, a desperate Confederate assault, was repelled with devastating losses. Lee's army was forced to retreat back to Virginia, marking the first major strategic advantage for the Union in the Eastern Theater. Meanwhile, in the Western Theater, the Siege of Vicksburg in Mississippi ended on July 4, 1863, with the surrender of Confederate forces under General John Pemberton. This victory gave the Union complete control of the Mississippi River, effectively splitting the Confederacy and disrupting its supply lines. The twin victories at Gettysburg and Vicksburg boosted Northern morale, strengthened President Lincoln's leadership, and solidified the Union's commitment to preserving the nation. Throughout 1864, new strategies emerged. General Ulysses S. Grant, appointed as commander of all Union armies, coordinated simultaneous offensives across multiple theaters. In Virginia, Grant engaged Lee's forces in a relentless series of battles known as the Overland Campaign, including the Wilderness, Spotsylvania, and Cold Harbor. These battles, though costly, demonstrated the Union's growing ability to apply sustained pressure. In Georgia, General William Tecumseh Sherman conducted his infamous March to the Sea, cutting a swath of destruction through the Confederacy's heartland, crippling infrastructure and undermining Southern morale. Cities burned, railways destroyed, and supplies seized, demonstrating the Union's industrial and logistical superiority. By the end of 1864, the Confederacy was weakened but not yet defeated. The turning points of these campaigns, however, signaled that the balance of power had shifted irrevocably in favor of the Union. The South would fight fiercely to defend its homeland, but the strategic advantage now rested firmly with the North.
By late 1864, the Union had gained significant momentum. General Ulysses S. Grant continued to press Robert E. Lee's forces relentlessly in Virginia, engaging them in the siege of Petersburg. This prolonged campaign of trench warfare and constant skirmishes drained Confederate resources, men, and morale. Lee's army, though disciplined and experienced, struggled to replenish its ranks. Food shortages, disease, and desertions began to take a toll. Meanwhile, Grant's strategy of attrition leveraged the Union's superior manpower and industrial capacity, slowly tightening the noose around the Confederate capital of Richmond. In April 1865, Union forces finally broke through the Confederate defenses. Lee recognized the inevitable and made the difficult decision to surrender. On April 9, 1865, at Appomattox Courthouse, Lee met Grant to formally surrender the Army of Northern Virginia. The ceremony was marked by dignity and respect, as soldiers from both sides faced the bitter end of years of brother fighting against brother. Across the South, other Confederate armies surrendered in the following weeks. The Civil War, the deadliest conflict in American history up to that point, had officially ended. Over 600,000 soldiers had lost their lives, and countless civilians had endured displacement, hunger, and hardship. President Abraham Lincoln, though victorious, would not live to witness the post-war recovery. On April 14, 1865, he was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth, casting a shadow over the nation's triumph and leaving the country to mourn its leader while navigating the challenges of Reconstruction. The war's end brought freedom to millions of enslaved African Americans. The 13th Amendment, ratified in December 1865, abolished slavery nationwide, cementing a moral and legal victory for the Union. Yet the path ahead remained fraught with challenges: rebuilding the Southern economy, integrating freedmen into society, and reconciling a divided nation. The Civil War left an indelible mark on the United States. It tested the nation's commitment to democracy, liberty, and human rights. It demonstrated both the destructive capacity of modern warfare and the enduring resilience of a people determined to preserve their union. America emerged from the war forever changed, stronger in its ideals, yet acutely aware of the sacrifices required to uphold them.
With the guns silent, the nation faced the monumental task of rebuilding. The period known as Reconstruction began. aiming to restore southern states to the Union, rebuild infrastructure, and integrate millions of newly freed African Americans into society. Federal troops occupied the South to enforce new laws and protect civil rights. The Freedmen's Bureau provided assistance to former slaves, helping them gain education, legal representation, and employment. African Americans began to participate in politics, with some elected to local and state offices, signaling a transformative shift in Southern governance. Despite these advances, Reconstruction was a period of intense struggle. White Southern resistance, through organizations like the Ku Klux Klan, sought to undermine African American progress and restore pre-war social hierarchies. Violence, intimidation, and discriminatory laws challenged the nation's commitment to equality. Economically, the South was devastated. Plantations were destroyed, cities lay in ruins, and labor systems had to be restructured. Sharecropping and tenant farming emerged as new systems, offering limited autonomy to freedmen, but also trapping many in cycles of poverty. Nationally, the Civil War left an enduring legacy. The Constitution was strengthened, particularly with the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, which abolished slavery, guaranteed equal protection under the law, and protected voting rights regardless of race. The federal government's role expanded, establishing a precedent for a more active national authority. Culturally and psychologically, the war reshaped the American identity. Memorials, monuments, and national commemorations honored those who fought and died. Literature, speeches, and historical accounts captured the valor, sacrifice, and moral dilemmas of the era, ensuring that the lessons of the Civil War would echo through generations. By 1877, Reconstruction officially ended with the withdrawal of federal troops from the South. The nation remained divided in many ways, but the seeds of civil rights, national unity, and modern American democracy had been firmly planted. The Civil War had tested the United States to its core. It had redefined liberty, transformed society, and proved that the survival of the nation depended on its ability to confront and reconcile its deepest contradictions. America had survived a battle for its soul and emerged determined to honor the principles on which it was founded.